All right, welcome. Good morning, and this fine Monday morning. In Nairobi, it's raining, and all the rest of the country, sunshine. Now, this morning, we want to look at the Nairobi County and its administration. It is 20 months since Evans Kidero was elected as governor of Nairobi. And a lot of people out here are evaluating in their own ways whether he has delivered, he has performed to expectations, or whether there are areas of improvement that he needs to work on. And so this morning, we want to ask the people who would have been governor or leaders in Nairobi County what they think of Kidero's performance, give him their rating, and also offer ideas on what they think ought to be done if it's not being done. And I'm joined first by Eric Mokua, who was the governor candidate in ODM before he surrendered the seat or pulled out in favor of Evans Kidero. I hope he has no regrets. Next to him is, of course, a very well-known politician and entrepreneur, Esther Passaris, who ran for woman representative in Nairobi at that election, and former town clerk Philip Kisia, who was also in the race for governor, but along the way did not get it to the ballot paper. Karibuni, all of you.
Thank you.
And Mutegi Njao, who is our senior Rotarian and member of this panel. All right, let's start from a general overview by yourselves on whether do you feel the governor is working on the right path? Let me start with you, Eric.
First and foremost, thank you, David, for inviting us to this very, very good place of ours. And let me say, my name is Eric Mokua. I ran for governor or gubernatorial seat in Nairobi in 2013. Of course, I still need to run for 2017, but the story here...
You didn't run, Eric. You did not run. You aspired, but didn't
I was there. I'm still... I'm still standing.
Okay.
Let me say that. I'm not seated.
All right.
I'm still a standing governor.
Okay.
But that's
right.
not why we are here.
Yeah.
We are here to evaluate what is happening in Nairobi.
Yeah. Do you feel the governor is doing the right work?
Let me say that the governor, Dr. Evans Kidero, is also my friend, but we are not feeling him. We are only seeing him all over the country. But he should be here in Nairobi. We are seeing him in Homa Bay, we are seeing him in Kisii, we are seeing him everywhere. But he has totally kind of ignored what he promised the Nairobians.
We'll get to the specifics later. Let me leave it there. Let me hear from Passaris. Do you feel the governor is up to the task, and you know, the Nairobi has a fresh breath of air in the devolved system of government?
I mean, the devolved system of government gave us hope that all of a sudden we'll start seeing changes. Now, you have to understand that Nairobi residents have always been frustrated, whether it was Nairobi City Council of Nairobi, and now the Nairobi County. Nairobi residents are frustrated, and why? We've got a huge influx. Okay, when farming and rural development failed, urbanization took over, and that's worldwide. It's a worldwide problem. I don't think we were prepared for it, and that's why every area of Nairobi has a slum. Unemployment is huge. I wouldn't be surprised if we had 50%. That is a big problem for anybody running a city. And when I look at Evans Kidero, I think he wanted to be governor, and probably his idea of becoming governor was so that he could become president. And my advice is, if you want the bigger job, you've got to succeed in this job. We've seen people who run cities, mayors, becoming presidents of countries. So it's a good platform. Yeah,
so far you don't think he has met the requirements or impressed you to be promoted?
No, I think the last 2 years, no, Nairobi hasn't felt him yet. The last 2 years, when I think of Evans Kidero, I can think of somebody who ran a campaign, got in because of a wave, all right, came in from private sector, didn't do very well in his debates in articulating what Nairobi would want or what he could do for Nairobi. And right now, when we look at him and we think, what has Evans Kidero done over the last 2 years? He has defended his seat against Waititu. He's been in and out of court with petitions. And then, of course, we had the incident with the woman rep. So That's what's on focus.
That's
so
what
he
you
needs
capture.
to tilt it. Yeah,
That's what the antenna captures those
he needs to
ones.
tilt it and make us feel his vision for
All
Nairobi.
right, let me hear Philip Kisia. You were, town clerk in the last days of the previous administration of local government, and so you have a fair scope of what it takes and the challenge of being leading Nairobi City. Are they being too hard on Kidero? Perhaps he's doing what he was elected to do by your estimation.
Well, I mean, you get, this is what you elected by brother Dr. Evans Kidero. And if there are any promises he made, then probably he's still strategizing on how to deliver the promises that he had made. But I'm one of the people who are yet to see any of those things that he had promised delivered. I know running a capital like Nairobi is not an easy task, but he said he's up to the task. Well, if you ask whether he's achieved anything, yes, he has. One, he has increased fees and charges from by between 100 and 1,000%. So that one he has succeeded. He also did very well by, punishing our women. That one he did. But yet we are yet to see anything really tangible.
Are you saying when you look at Nairobi for the last 2 years, there is nothing positive that Dr. Kidero has done? Nothing, zero.
I mean, probably I'm the wrong person to judge Dr. Evans Kidero, but Nairobians can speak. I mean, they can tell you whether the man has delivered anything or not.
Let me get back to Eric. Pass a verdict on what you think.
Let's
look for the good things that we can attribute.
Let me just highlight on the Nairobi, what is happening, what the Nairobians are saying out here. He has increased parking fee from 140 to 300, and then he has increased license fee, everything on the line of revenue he has increased, but nothing has happened on any development. And then you find that what is recorded on the revenue book is half what was being recorded by the likes of Kisia. Because, for instance, if I'm to talk on figures, collections were up to 140 million those days. But now, collections are up to 65 million right now.
Why is that so?
Is it a change of the system of collecting parking fees and so forth, the digital migration
stuff?
stuff?
Ask him, actually. Yeah. And then if you look at things to do with the bank accounts of individuals within the county, we only read in the news and find that somebody has about more than 2 billion in his personal account. And then you find that currently salaries have not been paid. Currently.
So, I mean,
salaries in arrears,
ladies and gentlemen,
they are contractors.
Eric, I'm trying to get something positive that, let's look at the things that Kidero has done. Then we look at the things he has not done systematically. Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Recently, I tweeted and I told Kidero, congratulations. I was driving down Peponi Road and all of a sudden it was lit. Now, in terms of lighting where I've been involved, I believe that he's actually doing something, all right? There's a partnership and a negotiation that they've gone through with Kenya Power, which I think is fantastic. They need to work together. And you can see the platforms of Kenya Power going around the city and doing that. So obviously, it's not the Nairobi County, but there is a platform where government, national government, and public institutions are working together, which is fantastic. We need those synergies. So on the lighting side, I see something happening. I think what we need, I think Kidero needs to get a fantastic PR person to come out and actually tell Nairobians that this is my plan for the next 6 months, or this is my plan for the next 100 days. I can see he is doing something in lighting. I know that they bought some garbage trucks. Incidentally, I mean, we had bought trucks during Kisia's time. Yes. I saw the commissioning of trucks to clean up Nairobi. But then what happens is we buy these fantastic infrastructure. Kidero has also put in the traffic lights, but the traffic lights don't work. Half the time, we don't know who to follow, the traffic lights or the traffic police. So we do have a problem. You spent money on traffic lights, public funds. Why are they not functioning? What is wrong with the timing?
Okay.
You are spending money on lighting.
All right.
What's the plan on maintenance?
All right, we'll get back to you.
I
on
think
that,
let me just
let me ask Kisi one more time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to extract some good out of you.
Well, you see, I have not been mean to my brother, but
Yes.
what Esther said is maybe not very correct. One, lighting of Nairobi and Mombasa is purely a national government project.
It's
The
not
the national government has set aside about $1 billion shillings, phase 1, to light up Nairobi. So that's being done by the national government. Probably input of the counties to tell them where to, to start and where to end. Of course, again, that is some input if you look at what's being done. Of course, the traffic lighting system.
Yes.
That again was a national project.
Yes.
That was done by Nairobi Metropolitan Department,
Ministry.
which I think that is under the Ministry of Devolution. But I think there's some probably good things that he has done. One, he has started implementing the project I started. That is the electronic payment platform system.
E-payment, yes.
The e-payment system. Yeah. That is something I started, and I started by carrying out a study with the assistance of e-government. So I'm happy that he has gone ahead and implemented that project. Whether it's working or not, I really don't know. I hardly park in town. The other thing that he has attempted to do is he's launched the master plan that I was able to deliver in collaboration with JICA. So really, he now needs to implement.
Implementation.
He needs to implement that beautiful, proposal that was delivered by JICA.
Right. Okay. Now let's look at sectoral issues and whether, you think he's doing something in that. Let's look at general institutional reform. I mean, for the longest time, Nairobians have complained about an unfunctioning city services, whether it is inspectorate and how it delivers the services, whether it is, there were issues of corruption. There was a lot of employees within the county government, baggage, reforming the city government or city council the way people know it. How far do you think that he has gone in doing that? Do you feel it?
Basically, let me say this from my point of view, and of course, like my good friend Kisi has said, we are not here to really hammer Dr. Evans Kidero. We are here to talk on behalf of the Nairobi people. I mean, what is happening out here in a very, very straight and perspective manner. Right now, even if you walk through town, the street lights are there, but they're not functioning, most of them. Most of the roads, even roads leading to State House itself, they're dark, and you'll find potholes. These are just the basics. We want to look at the basics and the short-term gains. He's been in office for 2 years. Still, the potholes are there.
No, Eric, you're getting out of my box. I want to look at institutional reform. When you go to city council or city government, are services quick? When you want to renew your license.
Okay, let me say a positive thing about him, because I may look very negative, but yes, there is a positive thing in any working institution. Yes. Recently, I was in the licensing office. Personally, I went there, and I was impressed. You get your all-in-one license. Yes. If you're doing business in this county, yes, you're getting all-in-one license at one touch.
Right.
I was really, really
well, that's
impressed.
Something good to say, because that was a lot of
that is something I need to just highlight.
Yes.
But a number of things are not functioning, especially if I was in his position as the governor of Nairobi, I would choose a team that is moving with me. If the passengers are driving the opposite way, and then the driver is driving towards Kisumu, then you find that that vehicle is not moving.
Let me ask you, Passaris, attempt that question. I mean, I'm looking at service delivery.
Okay.
In terms of the personnel, organizing the institution to deliver these services to the people. When you go there, you want a license. When your water has broken down, services, efficiency, response mechanism.
Okay, let me tell you something. We have to look at it two ways. First of all, he's got the institution, and the institution needs to be welcoming. That means I think in every floor he needs a customer service desk.
Right.
He's got 17,000 people working for him supposedly. Put a customer service desk in every floor that knows how to tell the public where to go.
Right.
Number two, have an interaction with the public. Where am I failing? Where do you need my lookout? Where do you need me to act and action? For instance, the other day I was in town, I went to park my car, and this lady comes and says, you have to pay through your phone, through your M-Pesa. I didn't hear it anywhere else except from that lady. So I said, okay, how do you do it? And she's trying to show me. Now I'm rushing for a meeting. Here I want to give her the 300 shillings. She says she can't accept the money. All right. So in the end, she tells me, oh, the system is down. So niachie lunch mama, alafu tuache. So let me tell you something. He has implemented a system of parking. Go with the education. Get the public to be aware of it. I saw recently he posted something on Twitter or Facebook saying we're starting a maintenance program for lighting. And it was posted by him where the national government is doing it. He's taken responsibility. And these are the helplines. Because it is his mandate to keep his city lit.
Yes.
Water. I know a lady who lives in Parklands. For years, she never had water. Recently, I went to her and she said she stopped buying water. We need to also understand that there are loopholes that were created in the service industry because there were people who thrived on corruption.
Yes,
all right, so
yes.
he needs to understand, as a city resident, what is a city resident of Nairobi expecting from me? One, they're expecting better housing for the low-income bracket. All right, what is his involvement in slum upgrading the city council properties, and then two, they need jobs. What is his position in terms of markets? We need markets. You know, yesterday I was coming from Landis Road and I was passing near KPCU. And the entire road was a market. You know, everybody, and I was like wondering, what is going on here?
Yes.
All right. I don't want him to go and start kicking them out next week because there's this tendency to do away with our hawkers all the time. Let me tell you, as long as you don't have a place for the hawkers, don't get rid of them, right? Because at the end of the day, you're creating more unemployment, more crime for your city.
Yeah.
Traffic. We have a huge problem in traffic. How have other countries managed traffic? What is he doing? While the government is building the roads, is there another way? Can we come up with a system where we don't all come in on the same day, odd numbers, even numbers, whatever? We need to follow what has happened in other cities. And then another thing is, he's getting an income. He's put it, I mean, there's no country that can justify 100% increase in any rates or any fees. So you've increased the parking rate from 140 to 300 shillings. You've got that income. Tell me, what is your plan to increase Nairobi's parking? I hear there was a building they're going to build where they're going to have 5,000 parking. Recently, I asked somebody very senior in the county, tell me, how many parking bays does Nairobi have? And you know what he said? I don't know. I think it's important to start there. Nairobi has 100,000 or 5,000 parking bays. We need double the amount. This is our plan. You go to China, you have the same parking space being used 3 levels. He can do that. So the question is, what is his plan to deal with unemployment, housing, water, security?
And traffic.
And traffic.
Right. Philip, you were there, you know some of these challenges. Institutional reform, there were cartels. This water we're talking about not getting to the people because there are people who tap the water, who sell the water. There are all these interventions.
Garbage.
How do you feel that the governor has, caught up with these things?
Well, first of all, the county, particularly local authorities, as they were known that particular time, if you get in and even snooze for 1 minute, you can be consumed. Now, you're talking about institutional reforms. And these are the areas that I think the government needs to look at. And he should take a very hard stand. Whether he's going to be re-elected or not, he'll have done a job. Number one, the issue of HR.
Yeah.
For services, the consumer needs to predict what level of service he or she is likely to get. I don't think Nairobians can predict the level of service they expect to get from the county government. Why? Because there are no systems, there are no structures. Whatever had the reform agenda started, I think it has all been destroyed. My good friend Eric talked about the licensing department. If you look at the Deputy Prime Minister and that time, 2010, Horobohuru Kenyatta. He was Minister for Finance at that particular point in time. He did recognize City Hall from pushing issuance of single business license from 7 days to 1 day. That happened during my tenure. But I don't take credit. It's happening. I'm happy that he has maintained it and has improved it. There's a report that was done by PricewaterhouseCoopers, a very respected company globally. Really. Does he need to do carry out another exercise? My answer is no. He should take that report, read it thoroughly. If he can't, let people read for him, give him a summarized version of the report, and let him start implement. Because the report talked about many things. One, it aligned the functions to the Constitution. It looked at a new structure vis-a-vis the Constitution. It looked at what type of staff and the level of staffing that we need. What type of remuneration packages that we need to consider for the people who work for the county. So in terms of HR, that is what he needs to do. Are the numbers right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're right. Do you have the skills that are required? Maybe not. So he needs to deal with that report yesterday, not today. The other area is finance. I'm happy that he has made an attempt to implement the ICT strategy that we had started. He needs to make it better so that the entire council is automated. We had estimated through the e-government department that we needed about R1 billion shillings to fully automate the council. My brother Evans Kidero, in his own campaign speech, he did indicate to Nairobi that by just being efficient, he'll be able to raise revenue by 148%, not 150, 148%. So 148%. Let me just land. 148% would have raised the revenue of the county internal collections to 22 billion. Then he has another 11 billion from central government. Now, without even increasing fees and charges, he should be collecting 33 billion Kenya shillings. That's enough money for him to do development, to pay the staff on time.
But he has recently applied, I mean, the council, the county assembly has declined an application for 5 billion, is it 4 billion?
They want to borrow
loan to pay staff and some development. First of all, just your remark about that before I get out of that, I just want that, then I get you.
Okay, now, first of all, I mean, it is illegal that he wanted to borrow money for operations. The Constitution does not allow any government institution to borrow money for recurrent expenditure. So if he's borrowing money, it should be for capex. But the question that should be answered is his own statement. He said he'll increase, through efficiency, he'll increase revenue by 148%. That is 22 billion plus 11 billion from the national government. That is 33 billion. Now, if you include electronic payment, we had projected that our revenue would have increased by 50% year one. He should be talking about 45 billion shillings. Where is that money going to?
No, let me also say this.
Passaris, you want to say something just about that before I get to Eric?
Yeah, I mean,
on that particular matter of
on borrowing?
Yes, borrowing.
I mean, Kissia, I mean, I recall you borrowed quite a lot of money when you were there as well.
Borrowed money from Equity Bank.
Exactly, 4 billion, which left him a dent.
Which is not even paid even now.
Which has left him a dent. So at the end of the day, you know, it's the same thing. We come in, go out, everybody does the same thing. We're exploiting this institution. The one thing that I want to tell Kidero, if at all he can get this message, he needs a good PR machinery, but PR has to be backed with action. All right?
With facts, not just
with action and facts. But the thing is, let me say something. He needs to communicate two ways. He needs to communicate with the residents of Nairobi and basically feel what Nairobi residents want. And he needs to communicate with his team of workers. Now, this is what I see happening in Kenya. As long as the top is involved in corrupt dealings, all right, and everybody that is in the leadership is involved in corruption, you cannot then go, all right, I mean, and tell the people at the bottom, stop and cease corruption. So you have to make a drastic change in corruption at the top of City Hall, all right, or the Nairobi County, or any leadership arm in government, so that when you go to the bottom and say we will be non-tolerant, zero tolerance with corruption, then it will happen. Because there's no way he's going to improve his revenue without dealing with corruption. And we have corruption from the top. So people say, if the man at the top is stealing, why should I not steal?
Okay.
You know, so we need to address corruption as well in revenue collection.
All right.
Thank you, David. Now, let me point out the issue of borrowing. I'm a former banker for over 25 years in this country, and in senior positions.
We are missing your skills
fact,
at county
let me say something about what Tegi almost said.
Yes.
Borrowing, an additional borrowing at Nairobi County is actually a bad idea, because you're borrowing to pay a debt at Equity Bank, and then you're cheating the MCAs that you're going to pay salaries or pay arrears for contractors. I mean, you're borrowing for 4 billion to go and pay a debt at Equity Bank. It's
not necessarily
3.8 billion. No, because you cannot borrow twice.
You misrepresent the facts. He was borrowing to clear remuneration.
No, that is what is in the public. Okay. The actual sense is that you cannot borrow from Equity at the same time you have a loan outstanding, let's say a loan outstanding at Equity, and then a loan, current loan from KCB. That cannot happen. So we need to tell the Nairobians, and in fact, I support all the MCAs who voted no for the borrowing.
To the borrowing,
because you're putting the county, let me finish, please.
I want to move on to, we don't have much time, I want to move on to something else.
Into a kind of insolvent, because your total debt is right now 47 billion. These are facts.
Nairobi County debt, yes.
And then you are saying total collections are 1.2 billion. And then let me also say something.
Eric, I'm going to cut you if you don't finish.
In finishing.
Yes.
And then an individual, we read the news, an individual has 2.1 billion in his
now, you know, you are
account.
reading in the news. Now, you've got to have the better defense when you are challenging on that one, rather than the news. All right, let's look at the whole notion of organizing the city. You know, we need a sparkling city, an organized city where things function. How would you rate, you know, the city counties addressing matter of traffic, you mentioned that a bit, garbage collection, fixes and repairs of roads or infrastructure that fall out of place, you know, clearing the streets. I mean, there's a lot of complaint that street families are back there, you know, and I can see, you know, traffic, organizing traffic. Somebody just written in saying Tomboya is a parking lot. The matatu just park on Tomboya. There's no movement there. Then hawking back in the city again, things like that. Organizing and cleaning up the city. What is your verdict? Let me start with you, Passaris, on this one. Good effort, work to be done.
Let me tell you something. He needs money to implement a lot of the things that we have to implement. We have development partners. But then the thing is, anybody who partners with the city council or the county needs to know that they are safe in partnering with that institution. All right, we can't get grants, and we can't get grants, and we can't get grants because we've gotten them over the years. Nairobi became Nairobi City Commission. This thing has been going on forever, trying to sort out Nairobi. Now, for me, Kidero needs to actually get whatever brains he can get around him, all right? Not the sycophants, not the people that tell him, you're the best, you will be the president. He needs to get the people that will give him a reality call. The city needs your attention. If you want a political career beyond this, you need to actually take one item at a time.
Fix it.
Okay, fix it.
Get our recommendation.
Involve Nairobi residents, because we are the victims of whatever goes wrong in the city. Involve the private sector, and basically work towards efficiency. And your biggest task is eliminate corruption, because that's where your revenue will come from. You know, and then tighten your, if you need to basically fire people, then fire them, because I don't understand why we have so many people and we're not delivering the services to the people. So we need to look at, is this quality, you know, because I know what happens in institutions like this. We hire relatives, we hire friends of friends, we don't hire professionals. Is it time to shed off some of the non-performers and actually get performers? And then I also want to say that, where is the deputy governor? You know, I mean, I don't feel him. I don't see him. You know, and this is the same thing that I think we felt when we were dealing with the IG in terms of security. Where was the deputy, the woman? I think we need the deputies to also show us that they exist and there's something going on.
That they're doing.
Let's look at health, because health has been devolved. And Kenyatta is always congested.
And education.
Yeah.
Now, in fact, when you look, I understand the other day they built a hospital called Mamangina, and on Mamalusi Kebaki Hospital, somewhere in Eastland, which the other day I saw in the newspapers. It's like it's a museum, kind of. It's a shell. What do you think about health? Why is that? Is it not felt that that is health?
I want Kisia to address that.
Yeah.
And while addressing health, probably just spread it to the whole issue of social amenities.
Yeah.
We have, you know, health, schools, recreation, you know, the social amenities interventions that are required in a city that functions.
Yeah. Well, I think just one thing before I comment on what you've asked me to do. One, I think let's give Evans credit. He has really made an effort in cleaning CBD. We thank him for that. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. I had signed, together with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Local Government, we had signed an agreement with JICA to deal conclusively with the issue of solid waste. Yeah, closing down of Dondora and opening up of Rai. So he needs to tackle that. But let me talk about public health or social amenities. Nairobi has about, I think, 75 clinics. The question that we should be asking the governor is that with all this money that he's collecting, has he given out, has he bought drugs? I think I speak to my workers, they say there are no drugs. Has he opened more maternity wings? The answer is no. Has he bought new equipment? The answer is no. Has he employed more doctors and nurses? The answer is no. So he needs really to tackle the issue of public health. 95% of the people who live in Nairobi cannot afford to go to private hospitals. Yeah. So if he doesn't tackle this particular issue, he's in for a rude shock. The other issue is schools. Again, let me thank him. I think even in today's paper, I've seen him you know, collaborating with Chris Kirubi in renovating one of the schools. But Nairobi has about 200 schools. And if you look at the ratios of people to students, students to teachers, it's threatening. You cannot have a class with 100 pupils and expect any good results. So I'd expect him to start building more classrooms, to start building more schools with all the money that is collecting. Right. But I've not heard of him building more schools or building more classrooms. The social amenities,
playgrounds, social halls.
Social halls that we are there. I was born in Nairobi about 52 years ago. I mean, with all the money that he's collecting, can he renovate some of them? You know, Ololo, Karioko, Shauri, and all these places, Kidero, they have playgrounds. Can he do something about them so that the poor people can have somewhere, you know, to socialize and to create?
For everybody, whether you have resources or not. Let's look at image of Nairobi as a destination. You know, we now hear Machakos. In fact, if you are outside in Kenya and you read newspapers, you're likely to hear more about Machakos as the destination. Come to Machakos, come to Machakos. Is Nairobi's image as a city, as a metropolis, a place to go for investment, as a place to go for entertainment, to enjoy yourself, a place to visit as a tourist, up, better than it was 20 months ago? Let's start with you then, Passaris.
Let me say this, and just like Kisia commented and did a disclaimer, that we are not here to hammer our good friend Dr. Evans Kidero. We are here to tell the Nairobians that yes, something is going on, but we are not seeing exactly the light at the end of the tunnel. And looking at Nairobi as a destination, really some good PR need to be done. There are so many recreational facilities in Nairobi. For instance, Dr. Evans Kidero need to realize that this is the only city in the world that has a national park within the city.
Yes.
That alone is a plus. He needs to advertise himself based on his strengths. But when you look at his PR, you hardly hear about Nairobi. In fact, you would think that Machakos is the capital city of Kenya. And then to just finish on that point is that maybe some forums, people are saying that maybe Nairobi is too big for Dr. Evans Kidero. It needs to be divided into 4 counties. And reason being, Nairobi's GDP controls 65% of the GDP of Kenya. Now, you're giving it to one person, and you're saying that, you know, there is devolved government, but we need to see the national government more involved in the actions of Nairobi.
Yes.
Because the image of Kenya is not only based on Dr. Evans Kidero.
Yes.
It's based on the image of Kenya is Nairobi.
Right.
Because when you think of Kenya, you start thinking of Nairobi first.
Yes.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, obviously, Esther, you must be keen to see whether we are attracting investment to Nairobi. Big companies, of course, are coming. A few may die or go away. But is Nairobi an attractive city as Kenya's face? And do you think the county government is doing enough to even project it further than where it's been?
Okay, let me tell you what. The hotels that are coming up, the buildings that are coming up, it's obvious that there is a lot of investor confidence in the capital of Nairobi. Now, the question is not the investor confidence, it's whether we can retain them, okay? For me, it's whether we can retain them. So we're building all these hotels. People are making a lot of investments in Kenya, all right? It's going to create a lot of jobs in the city. But are we going to attract the tourists? Are we going to attract the business traveler, all right? For us to attract them, we need to be a safe city, all right? We need to hear his voice as the governor of Nairobi on the issue of security. We needed to hear his voice as the governor of Nairobi when we had the stripping sessions going on in Nairobi. Where was his voice? Because he needs to protect the women. I mean, today I Googled the 10 countries, the top 10 countries where you have rape. And I crossed my fingers and said, wow, we're not there yet. But when I heard that today in Tana River or somewhere, 15 men raped a woman, I thought to myself that this is a concern for our country. We cannot have any more bad news. We need good news. And then another thing is, for you to create jobs, we need to industrialize, all right? We cannot be importers. Now, this is national government. Don't shy away from saying to the Chinese or whoever else is backing us in terms of finances that we don't want to buy your products. We want to employ Kenyans, not Chinese, all right? We can't shy away from that. Our energy costs are coming down, hopefully, all right? We need to see that in our billing. We need to see that, you cannot have an industrialization with energy costs going up. So as we're trying to improve the national grid, let's see the costs also coming down. I think what Kidero definitely needs, right? He needs to come and talk to Nairobi. I would suggest every Friday, all right, give us a 5-minute press conference. It can be in your website so that we can come to your website. Talk to us. Tell us, this week we achieved this. This week we focused on this. And this week we had these concerns raised by the Nairobi residents, the private sector. Talk to us. Communicate with us. Get us to understand what is your agenda for Nairobi. Because Nairobi's agenda will shape the agenda of the entire country.
Maybe the problems are too overwhelming. You don't want to put your head out there. They'll
You have to put your head out there.
Imagine a public forum and the emails I'm getting here and text messages. Tomboya street is chaotic, lawless, and big security threat. Kidero seems too detached from reality. Can the central government intervene over the governor? Nairobi's image is becoming a big slum, more shady kiosks. Now the Langata cemetery is full. Where do we go? Image is totally destroyed. Case out, you know, water people are corrupt. You know, Dandora, you know, issues.
There was
and so many other things.
There was a move to introduce public transport. They wanted to buy buses.
Yeah, but you see, everything is corruption.
Yeah.
We want, you know, the problem with Kenya is that everything we want to do, every project we want to undertake, you know, everything it's all to do with who can benefit from our friends, who can benefit from our family. We have to break corruption. I hope the president is watching. I hope all the governors in Kenya are watching. You cannot fix Kenya if you don't stop corruption. And stopping corruption starts with you, because I have to tell you this, everybody's corrupt.
All right.
This is the problem.
Let me address the issue of, because Esther has done very well with that particular area.
Yes.
But let me talk about the issue of public transport.
Yes.
I think what the government is attempting to do is futile. I think he lacks strategy, or his advisors have misled him, because buying high capacity vehicles will not sort out the issue of public transport.
Mm-hmm.
I had said during my campaign period that what we need to do is to reorganize the entire public transport system, so that if you talk about buses, you have substations a few kilometers out of CBD, say in Kiambu, at the river, and so on and so forth. So those substations, you feed them in using low capacity vehicles. And then from the substation, you have high capacity vehicles pushing people into town, but on a dedicated public line. Dedicated.
Yes.
Because even if you put passengers in high capacity vehicles and then they get into the same traffic, you are not sorting out the problem. The problem will be sorted out the day the public line, we have a public line dedicated for public transport. The other one, and you saw JICA again, I keep on referring to JICA, the Ring Road Kilimani.
Yes.
They provided for three things. They provided for motor vehicle, they provided for cycling lanes, and they provided for people on Route 11. People who want to walk.
Pedestrians.
Pedestrians. Okay? So we need to take an integrated approach to the issue of public transport. But buying high capacity vehicles is a waste of time, is a waste of public funds.
Yes. All right, we are tying up. We will come to your vision and what, if you are Kidero, the three things you would want to do to change Nairobi. Yes.
Let me say something. There is an area that we can raise a lot of money and basically channel that money for social good. A proper national lottery. But let me tell you something. Why haven't we been able to license a proper national lottery? Because everybody wants to own it. Everybody wants to be part of it. Everybody wants it to be their project. I'm appealing to the president and the governors to come up with a national lottery. Let us get international tenders. Right. All right, Camelot in the UK, come in, tender, manage it. If we get a national lottery, we will be churning out millionaires every week. Millionaires, Kenyan millionaires, which will mean investment in our country by locals will go up. And if we say that 50% of what we get from the national lotteries will go into social services countrywide, we channel it to hospitals, we channel it to schools, we channel it to housing, and there we get money, because you know people have a tendency to always want to be winners. Now if we have a proper national lottery for Kenya, there is money in this country. We see it every time we have an IPO. Let us get a proper run national lottery. We improve sports, we improve housing, we improve medical. That's money. But let's not put the same corrupt people that we are related to, that are our friends, so that we can rip this country apart. We have raped Kenya. Yeah. We have sodomized Kenya. Now we're kicking Kenya.
Now those are very strong indictments, right? For me, I want us to tie this up. Yes. I want to come to each of you, to just give a prescription of what, if you were governor today by,
suppose you won.
Of course.
What are the 2 or 3 things that you think need to be fixed urgently?
Let me say this, that I'm the standing governor, so I will one day sit.
We wish you the best. Yeah.
What Dr. Evans Kidero needs to do, in a very brief way, is to start with the basic needs of the Nairobians. Lighting the streets. That is very basic. In fact, from the financial point of view...
The streets are lit. Many places are lit.
Okay. Like we said, the CBD is late. Let's also give credit to him. Yeah. If you drive around City Hall, you'll see good lighting. Along the Parliament Road, good lighting. But elsewhere, Dandora, all these suburb
the
satellite
residential
cities,
areas and outskirts.
the lighting is very minimal.
Okay.
So start with the basics.
All right. Lighting. Two.
Start with the basics, opening up the sewer. I mean, the sewer, I think...
The sewage system.
The maintenance of the sewer system in Nairobi is zero. Because like yesterday, the drain water was all over in town.
Yes, yes.
You would drive in a pool of water within the CBD.
Drainage.
The road is well carpeted, but inside the drainage is blocked. So we need to unblock. Those are basics.
Right. Okay.
So that when it rains, there is drain water is moving along.
Runoff water
and then
is collected
look at the basic needs of Nairobi. Employment. You can create employment by using, like now, for instance, I'll give an example so that he can judge for himself. Now, putting creative transport system collecting the garbage, this company called Creative. What are you doing? You're giving one individual to collect garbage within CBD. Why don't you employ youth groups, women groups, and engage them in several parts of the CBD to do that work?
Jobs, okay.
I mean that's a point which he needs to digest and find out what he needs to do.
Final one.
And then he needs to look at the security issue. You cannot say that the security issue is only for the national government. He needs to be involved. He needs to look for a way of integrating the county policing and the national security officers, so that we can have more.
So he needs to work on the security.
Yes.
Fix it. All right.
And then the hawking system.
Hawkers.
Hawkers. He's chasing them. He's tear gassing them in town. I mean, we have
Is
hawkers.
They're all over the place.
We have hawkers. We have hawkers even in London. If you go to Durban or anywhere, any city that we want to benchmark,
what should he do?
He needs to do an organized hawking system, where I don't see along why you would park vehicles along Kenyatta Avenue or park vehicles along Moi Avenue. These parking lots need to be turned into organized hawking spaces.
In the main streets of Nairobi?
Because not in the main streets, of course,
that is
on
the main
specific parts.
Because
if you go to London, for instance, parking, you hardly see vehicles parked within CBD. But what happens in Kenya? We are creating more parking spaces.
Let me get you right. Yeah. So no parking on Moi Avenue. We convert those to be...
We should open space. We should open more space.
Yes.
We are not turning them into a hawking space.
Yes.
But we should have organized...
Why should we create hawking spaces on streets when there are shops there?
I mean, there are hawkers all over. Unfortunately, our country...
Okay. Let me leave that.
75% of our people are poor. So they cannot afford to pay rent.
How about setting them up in places where you can go and do merchandise?
Stone and mortar.
Away from the main streets.
Those are now what my brother Kisia was talking about, where we need HR, where we need people to actually help him think on how to organize the hawking system.
All right.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Thank you, Eric. Let me get to Passaris. Our time is totally run out. Okay. But in a nutshell, 2-3 things that you think need to be done and the governor needs to do, tell the governor.
He needs to lead by example. He needs to lead by example. That means from his office, there should be no corruption all the way down. He needs to read the Riot Act to all his ministers, because he does have ministers and everybody's honorable there. You know, there's no more councillors. Everybody's upgraded in position. So what we need to do is, where any area there is failing, this is your opportunity. Fire whoever cannot deliver and hire who can deliver. And hire with transparency. Communication. He has to open all the lines of communication. The city has a lot of problems, right? He needs income. Talk to the governors. Talk to government. Let's get a national lottery. Let's use the national lottery funds to actually do and address all the social issues. Whereas, and then give us a plan. Parking, hawking, water, traffic, everything. He needs to give us a plan. And I'll tell you what, to solve the, I'm just a driver in the city of Nairobi. And when I sit in parking, this is what I say. We are locked in with cars. That's why we don't move. That's why we park. Excuse me, have single traffic flow.
Lanes.
You know, you know, make sure that your traffic flows in such a way, because, you know, we're thinking, oh, if somebody has to go a full loop, right? If somebody has to make a full loop, he's going to spend a lot of petrol. Excuse me, he's already spending a lot of petrol parking on the highway. So stop these double lanes, these cuts and corners all over the city. Make it one way flowing out of the city and into the city. Okay. If he does that, we will actually free ourselves. And then let's try and put a fine for going through Uhuru Highway so we can encourage people to use the bypass.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
Okay, punishment on the way from Esther Passaris, Governor. All right, there.
Okay, already Nairobians are going through a lot of punishment, so I would spare them that one.
Yes.
But 4 things come to mind.
Quickly, yes.
1, let Kidero clean up Nairobi. There's a time he said that Nairobi churns out 400,000 tons of solid waste. It is only 4,000. Yes. So since it's only 4,000, not 400,000, let him clean up the city. Number 2, we need to feel secure. Security for people, security for property.
Yes.
So let him address that one. Number 3, we need a city that is vibrant. 24 hours. Mutua is doing fairly well in Machakos. We should be able to do better than Mutua. If Mutua is doing 24 hours, Nairobi should be doing 25 hours. We need a vibrant city so that we can create employment, so that we can feel good, have this feel good. The last one is that we need to make Nairobi a home for everybody, so that we feel that you're part of this city and the city is part of you. But finally, yes, and I don't want to overemphasize,
yes,
the issue of governance.
Yes.
Signing an MOU with ethics and anti-corruption was good, but I cannot understand why he dismantled the integrity testing program that I put in place. Can he revive it?
What was it about?
It was a collaboration between City Hall and CASA. I had stationed them in City Hall.
Right.
So we were collaborating. I had given them all the needed equipment, office, money, personnel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something triggers you, but
yeah, you know, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. He has to start a line of communication. You know, I like the way Kisia is saying, I did this, I did this, I did this. They do all this, they spend all this money, but we don't know that they're doing it. Like, you know, so we need to communicate with the residents of Nairobi on a weekly basis. Take that challenge, Kidero. Start communicating with us. Start listening to us.
It is just not a prerogative. It's not just his prerogative. It's a constitutional requirement. Public participation in governance is in our constitution. And hey, there's been a lot of public participation in this show. The text
of
messages
course, that
are
tells
flood.
you that Nairobians are not happy.
Nairobians are really unhappy with the government, county government. You know, this Nairobi desperate needs a savior. Along Rabai Road, what is going on? Nobody seems to know, and the residents of that place. In Nairobi County, question to, you know, why are we not hearing about feeder roads, Outer Ring, Komarok, and so forth? Tenure is fenced off. What is going on? Open sewer holes all over city. One near the junction of Kirinyaga Road and Rescos Road and so many things. Thank you for your feedback. This subject, of course, is very, it draws a lot of interest from Nairobians. And I want to thank our panelists. The standing governor of Nairobi, one day he hopes to sit.
Of course.
There are about 48 months to sit. And, you know, Esther Passaris, I don't know whether you'll be still going for woman rep or you might be interested in governor. We will come to that another time. And Philip Kisia, former town clerk, and also who aspired for governor but did not eventually run. We have invited Kidero, governor of Nairobi. He was to have been here a couple of days ago. We hope he will be coming in here, and these issues will continue to occupy us, and we discuss how we can have a better Nairobi. Thank you for watching.